Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicte, and I'm feeling autumn.
And I'm Benedikt. Today is October 15th. This is episode 210, and I'm feeling a bit drained.
I feel like that's the same. It's fall. Feeling fall. Maybe that would have been better. It's like a better alliteration than feeling autumn. But
well, yeah, I guess. For me, it's definitely my social battery that's drained way below the lower limit.
Why?
I mean,
this was a segue for you to talk about MicroConf.
Yes, I was about to say to do that, but we've been back home for a couple of days now. But I feel like I am probably drained. Like I'm kind of glad that we are not going to any other conferences in the next couple of weeks and months. Christmas is still a little bit off, like visiting family and everything, so that's okay. But I'm glad that I don't have to go anywhere else until then. That being said, MicroConf was great. I had a good time. I think it was the biggest MicroConf Europe ever. Ooh. And I guess that contributed to me feeling drained. It was so many people. Like, I mean, only like 50% more than usual or like than the years before. Mm-hmm. But I've run into that problem where I said hello to a lot of people, and with almost all of them, it was like, yeah, we'll catch up later. Like next time we run into each other, we'll just have a proper conversation. And that then never happened because we ran into like 50 other people. And a lot of people you started having conversation with, and then eventually they were like, yeah, there's so many other people I need to talk to and say hi to. Mm-hmm. So it always felt like you're moving from one conversation to the next.
It's like drive-by.
Super deep. Yeah, kind of like drive-by. But that's my only critique, if that's even a critique. It was awesome again. I mean, the hotel in Dubrovnik is super nice. The view out of the hotel, just over the sea, watching the sunset and everything was super nice. Weather played along nicely as well for the most part. I think we got a little bit into rain once, but that's about it. Like only for like an hour or so. It was great. Was nice to catch up with a lot of friends, seeing them again, meeting a couple of new people, meeting actually quite a few of our listeners. So that was awesome. Sometimes I feel like we're talking into the void here. But a couple of people said hi and mentioned that they're listening to the podcast, and I feel super grateful for meeting them and having a conversation with them. So thanks to all of you who chatted with me at the conference.
Cool. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, it was quite an adventure, to be honest. We were planning to go there Thursday. Then our flight got canceled. We had everything packed. We're basically sitting on our suitcases, having some breakfast when I got an email. Yeah, your flight is canceled. I was like, oh shit. And now what? An hour later, we get another email. Hey, you're rebooked to the same flight tomorrow. So, yeah, we tried to get that one. Then the next morning, I was kind of expecting to get another email like this, and luckily didn't get it. But in the process, I went to the website of the airport, and there was a like big red flashing message.
Not a good.
Major disruption at the airport. No takeoffs and no nothing. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's a problem. But luckily, I think they fixed it after a couple of hours. So when we were scheduled to leave relatively late in the afternoon. So it ended up being fine. We only got like an hour of a delay or something like that, 1.5, something along those lines.
Well, so a full day and an hour though.
A full day and an hour, including the cancellation. But luckily, the hotel we were staying in for the first couple of nights were fine with it. I guess I guess we prepaid them anyway, so they were like, well, you show up when you show up, we don't care.
Yeah.
So that was good in a sense. Even though the hotel itself, while it looked fancy, was super noisy and the room was super smelly. I'm not sure if something died in there or if it was like someone
Oof.
smoked weird stuff in there or if it's just like mold. I don't know. It didn't smell that nice and it was super noisy. They had a piano player in the lobby, which is by itself kind of nice, right? But the problem was he was playing the piano the entire the entire evening, and the doors for the rooms weren't that well soundproofed. So it was literally like he was sitting next to you in bed playing the piano, which was kind of yeah, weird. But yeah, minor complaints. What was interesting though was the last day at the conference. Suddenly, the hotel was crowded and muscular men in either suits or military uniforms. And we're like, what is going on? And turned out there was the Ukrainian Balkan summit in Dubrovnik, and I think it was the president of Kosovo, stayed at our hotel, and it was swarming with police and security and dogs and everything. So it was wild. And unfortunately, that also cut our sightseeing short a little bit on Wednesday because we were initially planning to go to the mountaintop, take the cable car and stuff like that. But the hotel already warned us that it might take up to 4 hours to get to the airport. So we were like, okay, we're canceling everything and just try to get to the airport in time. Which then, yeah, we had a little bit of a traffic jam and stuff like that, and the road was closed for a while. But for the most part, it wasn't that big of a problem. But you never know, right? So yeah, we spent most of the last day sitting at the airport, looking at airplanes of various governments arriving and leaving and stuff like that.
Yeah, like their own planes, like their private
Yeah,
planes. Yeah.
yeah. So
Interesting.
that was interesting. Yes.
It's weird when you're not like used to those things. I have like very anecdotal story to this, but I don't remember what concert it was, but I remember my mom and I we were going to a concert in the biggest concert hall in Oslo. I think it was like Red Hot Chili Peppers or like something like that. Um, and the president of the United States was in Oslo. And like that
Yeah.
usually never happens. And at this time, like the police, you would never ever see police with like guns in Oslo because that's just that's not how it's done. And he was staying at the Oslo Plaza, which is next to the Oslo Spectrum, where we were gonna go. So they had like set up these like fences, and they were like security or like not security, like properly highly trained police, I think, but not the people he used. They were like standing along this like row of people who had, I mean, and I was a teenager at the time, but like most people had, been drinking a little bit at home and were like the way you are when you're like waiting for a concert. And it was just such like a juxtaposition of like two just completely different things happening in a city at once. And I was like, well, maybe they should have chosen another hotel, not the one like next to a concert hall, but that was how it is. But this was which president was this? I'm like thinking it was like Bill Clinton or something.
Yeah, must be something like that. Bill Clinton or Bush probably, right?
Yeah, but I don't think Bush. Anyway, that's not that important. But it was just I just remembered like being so weird because some cities you're like more used to that kind of stuff, but I'm not. So
Yeah.
I get very like flustered and like oh my god, what should I do?
It was so weird.
Growing up in my naive little Norway, where
it was weird. Like there was a lot of security and like Secret Service and suits and stuff like that. But the hotel in general, like, was operating like normal. Like there was still the entire MicroConf crowd was there. There was another. I think there were 2 other conferences about to start at the hotel, so it was a lot of people. And then in between, these guys with suits and sometimes we were escorting people around, and like it was so weird. And in general, super weird people as well. Like one of them for breakfast, he got like an entire plate of almonds, like 200 almonds or so. She kept like eating
That
them one
sounds
by
like
one.
like rock stars did backstage, where they're like, "I want 400 red M&Ms."
Yeah, when he left here, I think he had like maybe, I don't know with what number of almonds he started. Like, well, there's still plenty of them left. It was a weird sight, but anyways,
Yeah. It
yeah,
was
stories we
adventurous.
can tell. Yeah, it was adventurous. It was
It
definitely
was
adventurous. Yeah,
adventurous. Yeah, cool. I've had smaller adventures this last 2 weeks.
it sounds like you had proper adventures, though.
Well, this like concert thing was like 40 years ago. No, 30, 20. Anyway, no, but I've had we went sailing for fall vacation because it was the
That's what I'm talking about.
that's what you're talking about. It's actually the potato vacation. So from the olden days of Norway, the kids would get a couple of days off to go home to their farms and pick potatoes. And now
I
it's
think you
morphed
mentioned that last
into,
year.
I think, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So now it's fall vacation. But we went sailing, and yeah, because that was before the vacation, right? I didn't tell this before. We went sailing with a good friend of Ola, and the Framer launch, plug-in launch, was like right on that Wednesday in the middle of the fall. So I brought my computer because I thought like it's nice to just like follow along around the launch, and in case something like completely goes down.
Yeah.
But I was like, I wasn't checking, and then my phone was kind of out of battery because you're on a boat, and we didn't have land electricity at this point. And then I open up, I go find my phone, and I look at it, and I go to Slack and just do a little look, and there was a Framer engineer who's like, "Hey, we saw that bug report, we've fixed it," and that meant that they fixed their API, but my code worked around that bug in their API because it seemed like, when I reported it, they were like, "Oh yeah, that's weird," but like nobody stated that it was a bug. And I was like, I'm not going to push it. Like, it's a week until launch. I'll just work around it. So I was like sitting there at the boat. I think it was 2 hours until the official launch. And I was like, okay, so if I fix this now, will you just like approve the new version? And they did. So we didn't have that, but because it kind of like rendered most of the plugin fairly unuseful. It would give a very bad like feeling. So, and I don't know, like there's no stats on the plugin at this point. So I don't know how many have used it. So it might not have become like huge problem, but that was fun. I can like a little bit of a deadline, like a little card, just a little fun. And I was in a nice place, and I just coded a little bit, sitting watching the view. We'll have a link to my view in the show notes. So, but that was a little bit of an adventure. And we only did sailing for a couple of nights, and it was really nice. And we keep on. So the guy that we sail with is somebody that Ola met when he was on his 10-month sailing trip with his father and his sister. Like, he was an adult, but it was like after university, I think. Like in his 20s, they went and they crossed the Atlantic and did. It's like a big thing here in Norway that like crossing the Atlantic is like a very like a thing that people aspire to. And there's like this group of Norwegians that meet on one of the islands, and then they cross together to kind of have a little bit of help, and they're a group so they can help each other and stuff like that. So, but they didn't meet until the Caribbean, Alistair and Ola. But Alistair has wanted, he's bought this boat. He wants to go on another long adventure, and Ola's been trying to kind of like get him to do it and get him to commit, and he has now committed. So we are leaving, supposedly, or this is the plan at least, sometime in June 2025, and hopefully we're gonna go for 2 or 3 months, depending with a little bit on circumstances, because we have a kid.
Are you crossing the Atlantic?
So we are not going to cross the Atlantic this time, well, we'll see. We'll see. No, that is not the plan.
We just start sailing and see where we end up.
It's kind of like a little bit like this. Yeah, because Ola is like through his like sailing. His dad had this like large wooden boat, so he's been partaking in these tall ship races around the world where the large like wooden masted wooden ships with like wood masts. Like they are the ones that compete. So he's like met a lot of people that's been dreaming of like doing a trip. And there's so many people talking about it. There's very few people that do it. His dad did it. And I think like Ola's thing is that you need somebody to just leave with. Like we'll be his kind of people that makes him throw anchor and leave Norway. And then there will like he'll find people that want to come for 2 or 3 weeks. And there's a lot of people that want to cross the Atlantic. So like he'll find a crew to come do some of these parts, but we just need him to like kaste loss is the Norwegian word. And I would love to cross Atlantic at some point, but it's not that important for me to reach the Caribbean. Like I just enjoy just being on a boat and like kind of the simpler life. It's a little crowded, but also simpler. And I just want to kind of be on a trip. So it's not that important for me to like reach the Caribbean. But I think the goal would be the Mediterranean. And then he'll try to like get some new crew and then cross the Atlantic. But he's not sure he's going to do that either. So we'll see. But
yeah,
so this is the plan, everyone.
As I said, like that's a proper adventure.
That is a proper adventure, and hopefully we can make it happen. I guess I'll have to get one of those Starlinks or whatever, because I don't think I can just like skip work for 3 months. So I'll need to talk to the Leave Me Alone folks, Danielle and I don't remember his name, but they did a year.
Is it James?
Yeah, I think it might be.
I think it's James, right?
Yeah. It's the Leave Me Alone app, people. Yeah. But she wrote a very honest blog post about how like that kind of life did not suit her. Like even though on social media and stuff it looked like, they were having fun and things, like she like didn't really enjoy that way of living. But kudos for trying.
Yeah. You never know until you try.
Yeah, and then being honest about it, which I think is cool, because I think a lot of these things, like people are often afraid to admit that it wasn't for them. But I think like the cool thing is like trying, and then you should be allowed to be like, no, this dream that many people have was not for me. So also I think that's also I don't. And with having a 9-year-old, we're not going to leave for a year because she needs to come back to her school at some point.
Sure.
But we're going to try to take her out for quite a while on both sides of summer vacation, maybe. And then for me, the goal is just like I want to travel for more than a couple of nights and just be in the boat and like live on the boat. And then we'll see how far we go. And it might be 1 month, but like the goal is 3 months. We'll see. Take it a little bit as it comes.
Yeah, good thing when you're flexible. I remember Brian, our former co-host, doing this living in a trailer for a year experiment, which also I don't want to say it failed, but I think they stopped it earlier than they were planning to. So, but still, that's nice. It's an adventure that you can remember and talk about. Even if it's like not all positive, you at least you gave it a try and experience something new.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people are a little too good at when they finally do something like this. It's like it is a year, or it is the kind of like you sell everything and it's like a big thing. But if it's possible to do smaller, smaller experiments, but it's not always easy, because if you want to go to the Caribbeans, I think if I've understood it correctly, it's just like a certain time in the fall that makes sense. So you have to kind of get to that spot by I think it's like September, October in the fall, and then to be part of that group that crosses, because that's when the winds or streams or whatever takes you in that direction. So some of these adventures are obviously, if like Caribbean is the important thing, then you kind of need that year. But I was like talking to Alistair, I was like, I don't care. Like we could sail to Finland. Like, it's still an adventure. Or, the UK, Scotland, you can go there too. And you can test a 3-monther before you do a 12 months.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel this ties in a little bit with. I just wrote a little note here that I'm what did I say on Twitter? I'm like tech and me are in a situationship at this point. I I went horseback riding as I do every Wednesday, and I do a car sharing. And when I was leaving, the goddamn car wouldn't start, and it kept telling me I needed to be closer because of Bluetooth. And I was like sitting inside of the car. I was like, I cannot get any closer to this car. And it had gotten into some like weird state, and these developers are not, like, this app is not the best. Let me tell you that. So it turns out if I don't lock it when I leave, it locks itself. It locks like the engine, not the doors. So I could get in, but then because of it's self locking it, well, somehow it then got into weird state where I couldn't open it again with the app. And this has happened before, but usually I can lock the car and lock the doors and then open it again. And then like I'm allowed to start the engine. And I was just sitting there like, keys are also a smart technology.
Yeah. And then if there's not an obvious, stuff happens, right? We know it. Like, it's easy to get in a weird state where suddenly stuff doesn't work anymore. But usually that's where that comes from. Like, have you tried turning it off and on again? It's usually a good fix for that. But how do you do that with a car? Like, especially a car that's not running already, right?
Yeah, so I had to call the they have a phone number, and I called, and he's like, yeah, that happens. And then he could do something centrally that talked to the car that got it out of that state. So I don't know, he like restarted it.
Well, at least that's something. So that's.
But when I was sitting there at like the farm that I go riding, and this car didn't want to start, I was like, do we need apps for everything? Really though? Really? I mean, technology is starting to become more of a annoyance than a
Yep.
convenient or like a benefit at this point.
Not everything has to be smart, I guess, right?
No, because like they could have had. I know that they also have a key for these cars. It's like hidden somewhere. Because I've once been in one of these cars where they told me to find the key, but you have to like break open parts of the dashboard and stuff, and there's a key in there somewhere. But the key could just be there in the compartment, and then I could open my car, and then I could use the key for the time while I'm using the car, but then people probably forget to leave the key and blah blah blah. So I it's
we kind of get it, but it's still annoying, right?
Yes. So
what else has been going on?
I mean, lots.
Tell me about it. Because I honestly, literally, tell me about it. Like, it's not like on my side, it hasn't been happening a lot. Like, there was MicroConf and a little bit of vacation bumped to it, and that's it.
So 24 minutes into this, maybe like we'll talk some tech, because I have a question for the because I know you have a script that people add to their head on their site, right? To capture events and stuff. How do you handle like versioning and cache busting, or like versioning specifically, and or bundling and hosting and versioning of that script?
That's a lot of questions.
Like, what's your process? Your full process.
Okay, so what we did, and I'm not claiming that this is perfect or anything. It's basically a 3-layered approach. So we have one URL. I think there's a version number in there, like a v1. I think it's script.userlist.com/v1. So that's the first level of versioning we have. And that's what you put into the script URL and inject into HTML. But that script that's loaded from that is just a super simple loader. So the script that gets loaded just loads another script and injects a new script tag in there. And I think that one is versioned with like a hash, but I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I've worked with that code. But that secondly loaded script then initializes everything and creates an iframe that then loads the in-app messaging app, so to say. And that's deployed separately on a separate URL, and that does all of the like cached assets and hashed assets and stuff like that. And most of the time, when we make changes to the in-app message notification, we just update the app. And very rarely we update that second level script. And I think we have, I want to say never, but that's probably not true. But it's been years since we updated the loader script. So yeah, that's how we do it.
Okay. Because I've been looking into and I haven't spoken in depth with our team about how we do it for our script, but I'm looking into how to do it for scripts that we can distribute for Webflow and also for Framer. Because I've thought that these things were kind of more sophisticated in a way. But when looking at other providers for Webflow that provides different like just utility functionality or little extra things, it's what they do is that they have a JS deliver, which is like a way to deliver NPM packages, or you can upload just zip folders from GitHub, I guess, or like anywhere. So then I saw like, oh, they use JS deliver. I know how to publish to NPM. And then maybe we could just do our utility, like these additional scripts on JS Deliver as well. It just feels a little weird for the URLs not to be branded. But then looking at these other providers, it seems like, at least in the Webflow world, it seems like they're used to, it seems like almost all of them uses this JS Deliver network. And then, so they are kind of okay with that. Then I also thought maybe there's a way to have a branded URL that basically just points to that. But I don't know if that would just muddle it. Because what I would like is for us to be able to update our scripts and then have semantic versioning, but ask the person to use V1, because that's something JS Deliver can do, where you say V1, but then if you do a minor release or a fixed release, you know, that will get reflected in the V1 link. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear how I'm trying to like land on something.
From my point of view, I would strongly discourage using JS Deliver as the URL you tell your customers to use. You can still use it under the hood, but I would push for something that's fully under your control in terms of, because in the end, the thing what's going to happen, I mean, who knows? But like,
so this isn't for our main script. Like, this is for just like additional utility extracts.
Sure, but still, like, the thing I would be cautious about is something happening with JS Deliver.
Oh yeah,
whatever that might be. Like maybe they didn't pay their bills or whatever. Or is it jsdeliver.io? Maybe even where the TLD suddenly goes away and it doesn't work.
I mean, I had an outage in February, I think. So, but I mean, we can all have outages. But yeah,
sure. Like, but ultimately, in those cases, they might have problems, whatever those might be. But ultimately, your customers will complain to you. And you have no way of mitigating this other than telling all your customers to update those URLs, because you don't have any control over them.
Yeah. See, but this is what I've been thinking too. And then I look at the like landscape, and none of them are doing it. But like,
and I'd say they are taking a big risk.
I mean, I find it a little fascinating, both in the Webflow world and the Framer world. I feel like it's a little bit like the good old, and let's not get into the larger discussion around WordPress, but it feels like the old days of WordPress where, you just YOLO installed plugins from like any URL. Like there was no like oversight or reviews or anything. So, but I also see like some of these guys are like moving super fast and just like, throwing things up on Jay's Deliver. Like, it's so I'm trying to like find a middle ground that I'm comfortable with, but also lets us move fast. And I guess I could set up a build system that could replicate the same type of functionality. But I just like, as soon as, because we have S3 buckets, like I could put it there and stuff, but cache, like that is so far above my interests. And I feel like, but I just want a recipe. Like if somebody could just like tell me how I could replicate this like semantic versioning that Jay's Deliver does, and make sure that, the version 1 cache is busted when new minor versions come, so they don't have to spend like a week waiting for their updated V1. That would be great. But I just need a recipe, because like getting into the domain and then like Cloudflare to S3 bucket, and like the cache is just there. Like when I do this with Netlify, I just upload a new version, poof, everything like it's there within a second. But as soon as I try S3 buckets, it's like, no, you're never going to get to new version. But if you don't change the URL, and I'm like, I don't want to change the URL. I like want people to get updates on the freaking URL that I've given them. Yeah. So
I mean, I think what I was trying to say is like you can still use Jay's Deliver and like, but have a URL that just redirects to Jay's Deliver for the case when Jay's Deliver has problems or like has an outage wouldn't probably qualify even, like unless it's like a multi-week outage. Yeah, like if they cease to exist or whatever. And have a way to like defend against that, and that would be then I mean either at that point you have to figure out a solution that does cache busting or whatever, or you find a different service and just redirect there. But just have anything that you can.
But it also annoys me.
Point to something else.
It should be something that I can solve. It's just that I log into AWS and it's just like my mind goes blank. Like I cannot do, like nothing makes sense to me. Like it just.
Yes. No, I'm fully with you. AWS user interfaces is the worst. It's so bad that other than S3, I don't think we manage anything on there right now. And S3 by itself, it's kind of like, okay, like that's the one part I know how to do, but whenever I do anything else, I only use Terraform and whatever, where I have like a tool that manages all the stuff it created for me. Because if I follow a tutorial and create stuff manually in their UI, there's no way I will find that stuff ever again.
It's insane. It's anyway, enough about complaining, but interesting. Thank you for your take on that, because I'm gonna have to make some choices.
Yeah, we do that a lot with most of the stuff we do. It's like just we rely on third-party vendors and everything, but the connection to our customers is always through us in some way. Like there's always, it's our domain or our DKIM keys or whatever, just so that we are flexible enough to move things around without our customers having to do anything. I think that's the key thing. Yeah,
and that's what I like in my mind before I looked at all these other like how the others did it. That was one of the solutions I had in my mind. Like, okay, we can just forward. We'll have scripts.outseta.com or something, and forward to and just replicate the URL paths that Jay's Deliver has, and then just like pass it through, and Jay's Deliver will do its magic. But I'm not sure if they cash bust Easter. I saw something about 7 days. You have to like manually go and tell them to remove, tell them what to cash bust or something. So I'll have to look more into that.
I'm not sure about the details there either.
Yeah. But anywho.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I have lots to talk about at We too, but we can do that next time.
Yep, we can do that next week. No, in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Whatever. Next time. Have a good one.
See you around the interwebs.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.